Boom, 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 boom. Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today I'm back on deck in another live stream, and this one is Why Being Single Sucks. It's actually a trick title. I don't think being single sucks that much, but there are parts of it that sucks. And we'll get into that today. Been a while since I've been back on deck on the live stream. Had a little sabbatical. Been doing a lot of live coaching and whatnot. Enjoying the good weather here in Phuket, Thailand. But if you like this video, throw me a like. If you don't like it, that's fine. It's better to have an opinion. If you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the red button. You already know that. And if you have a breakup you're going through or a relationship issue you're going through, please send your story into writemac.com and you'll get my take on it. And possibly if you'd like to do a live coaching session, we can fully unpack it. Let's get into it. Mr. Justin Adams, welcome. I love being single. That's a good way to start off the live stream because, full disclosure, I looked at the title. I had Breakup Podcast on here, number 27. And at first I was going to say why being single versus being in a relationship. And then I went, you know what? Let's go for the title that's going to grab more attention. Let's be a little title whore here. I guess you could call it. Why Being Single Sucks. Wow. The TMZ type title to get your attention. Because the reality is being single doesn't suck, but it has parts that suck. I mean, I wouldn't say it's all good.
Yeah, nothing is all 100% good.
No, but here's the thing, because I just got this question recently, and someone was just asking me, and I said, "What do you think's better, being single or being in a long-term relationship?" Being that I've done both over the years, and now that I do breakup coaching and talk to people about their bad relationships most of the time. Sometimes their relationship's not that bad. Their outlook or perspective is what's flawed. But it made me think, because we talked about it a little bit yesterday in a brief conversation. I said, that's something we're gonna unpack. I've obviously talked about being single or being in a relationship, but when you look at a question, and I can't think of the guy's name, but he wrote a really good book called Sapiens. And it's about humans and different things. You can look up this book, Sapiens. I think Yuval Noval. I'm getting his name wrong. Anyhow, he was talking about writing a book, and he said that you want to take one question, a really good question, and then you dissect and answer that question in different ways. Not just like, oh, why being single sucks. This is a really brief way of saying something. It's like really unpack that and look at it in a different, 5 different directions as a science project, taking the frog apart and getting into why being single sucks. And instantly we already have people saying, no, I love being single. Being single is the best. Now, I wrote some notes up here. These are just my notes before we started. Your prior relationships to you being single, in my book, would dictate how you feel about being single. Now let me rephrase that. If someone's coming out of a shitty, bad relationship that wasn't always bad, but was bad in the last couple of years, last 4 or 5 years, if they're coming out of a bad relationship, single is going to be like a hot bath on a cold day. It's going to be refreshing. It's going to be good. It's going to feel, people are going to go, damn, this is nice. Right? I love being single. The other part about being single, and this is some things that people don't really want to look in the mirror. I'm good, Wina. I remember your story. You had a very unique story. Weena or Wina? Very unique story. Yes, I remember the artificial pregnancy. See, right there, you're like, what? Artificial pregnancy? Yep. Did you end up getting artificially inseminated? I'm just curious. I'm very good. Thanks for checking in. Getting back to this, because I'm going to roll on this topic. So anyone that comes on the live stream right now, I'm not ignoring you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go about 15, 20 minutes into this and just roll on it, and then we'll get into the live stream and have some fun. And Wow, I'm sorry to hear that you tried twice and failed. Keep going for it. And that way I help out my video editor, the great Aleph, 23 years of wisdom, because he's cutting the live streams after the fact for the good parts, for people that don't want to listen to us jibber jabber. And so he's like, can you just not say hello to everyone, please?
Nah, I don't say that. I just keep in the topic sometimes.
Stay on the topic, because we get off the topic, especially at the end. Especially It's like an hour and a half. So I want to continue on this topic because I think it's a good topic, and feel free to chime in, feel free to put questions up, and I will get to them, as I always do. So just don't feel like, I've had new people on the live stream before, like, are you even going to answer any questions, man? And then people that have been on the live stream are like, just relax, man. He'll get to it. Why being single really does suck? First of all, it's individually based, right? So some people are going to go, oh, it's great. Some people are going to say it's bad. The reason it really will suck is if you suck in your life. So that sounds really brutal, but it starts with how you look. Wow, Mac, that's, if you feel like you're not good looking because you're heavy or fat or out of shape or unhealthy, I don't know, you haven't took care of yourself in a while, you're not a good dresser, whatever. Single would be, for you, it'd be like, this sucks. Because my girlfriend or wife, even though we had problems, still came home to me and didn't mind that I drank, 10 beers a night and slammed pizzas on the weekends and never exercised for 4 years. It's amazing. I've met people before that are like, yeah, I haven't exercised in about 4 years. It's like, excuse me? Is that like, how's that going for you?
That's true.
I've met people like that. I dated a woman. She's like, I haven't exercised in 5 years, and she was slim, but I was just like, what?
Even that need to.
It's just like, what? Like in my head, I'm like, really? Mm-hmm. And then the woman I was dating, she's like, why do you like exercise so much? Huge red flag for me. I was like, I'm not a decathlon person. I'm not Joe Jim or anything like that. But I value to get some exercise. Like go get some exercise. It's very valuable in your life, however you want to get it. But single will suck for you if you're not happy with yourself. Number one. That's number one. And the number one thing people come to, and a lot of people won't want to admit this, but it's the absolute truth. How do I look? You're single. You think immediately, because the number one thing that attracts a new person, first and foremost, notice I said didn't get you a boyfriend or girlfriend, attracts someone different, okay, is looks, okay? Doesn't mean you got to be Brad Pitt or Cindy Crawford or Beyonce or someone that's really beautiful. By the way, those people are Photoshopped. They have makeup on. They do have blemishes on their bodies and faces and whatnot.
Or they have their own charming.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. Now, if you enter singlehood and you're like, oh, I look like crap, I look like this, it's going to get worse than when you were with someone. Because when you were with someone, you felt like at least someone's got my back. At least someone's sleeping with me. At least someone's, going to the Christmas party with me so I don't go alone, right? So that's going to make, so then someone's like, oh, it just sucks to be single. Okay. Ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 how you feel about your looks. Now, some people are more harsh on themselves than others because of something their parents said to them, or they might have an eating disorder or something. That's something you need to unpack, because this is where, and this is, I've talked about it before, the book's coming. The biggest part of being single, and this is going to sound counterintuitive to a lot of people, it's introspective. You start to look within yourself at the things you want to improve and change. And that's the golden nugget, because you now have time without getting someone's outside opinion of what you should do. I've had a client before, beautiful woman, late 20s. I mean, she had her shit together. Great job. They had a house in an expensive area in Australia. She had her career on deck. She was going to a grad program at night. I mean, on paper, you'd just be like, wow, this is an all-star type woman, right? And she was talking about her boyfriend, or her, I think they might have been a fiance. They had been together 7 or 8 years. And she basically, he left her and she was shocked because she was a catch. She was good looking. Like I said, she had money. She had a good job. She presented herself well, at least when I talked to her in the coaching. Sweet and kind. List goes on. She was shocked that this guy left her. But then when I started to unpack things with her and talk to her, the way she talked about him in the relationship, it was evident there was problems, but she didn't see him. For example, she goes, one of the things that stood out to me, she's like, yeah, he wasn't really driven at first, but I got him to get into this career, this certain career. And he didn't dress very well, but I taught him how to dress right.
Oh, what a guy, man.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and she continued on that she basically like molded this guy into this better man. Okay? Which, by the way, like I said, her expectations of herself and what she did in her life were pretty high, and she was a high achiever. But the way she was talking, I was like, I can see maybe why this guy kind of got tired of the having to live up to what she thought was great, because she had some really high standards, and she was oblivious to it. So going back to why being single sucks, it starts with that. If you're not happy with the way you look, and if you're like, well, I've always had freckles, or I've always had my hair is thinning, or this or that, there's things you can do to work on that, and there's things in your confidence that you can work on. And that's going to be the number one reason a lot of people come back to, because the immediate thing when you become single, like I said, it might sound shallow, is how do I look? I had another woman that I did live coaching with. Now here's what the other part where being single sucks. Okay. This woman said, I believe she was in her late 40s, early 50s. Very nice woman, outgoing, had a bad divorce. She admitted her husband cheated on her, that she was obese. I can't tell when I talk to someone on FaceTime how heavy they are or whatever. And I'm certainly not going to go, hey, how much do you weigh? You know what I mean? Like, are you happy with your looks? That's something that comes up on their own. So she said, hey, after I got the divorce, I realized I was really heavy and I wanted to lose a lot of weight. Okay. Great. Good for you. So she said she went on a diet. She did some other things. I think she even did, I don't want to call it liposuction, but where you get a surgery to take away fat. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I don't see any, that's fine if you're going to keep it off and whatnot. And then she got her tits done. She got a boob job, right? I don't know if I can even say that on a live stream, but whatever. Maybe. Okay. So she got her boobs done, and she's like, man, I was looking like I was 21 again. She's like, I lost the weight. She goes, in the mirror, I looked good, Mac. She's like, I felt good. I thought I was the shit. She said those words, too, in her 50s. I said, good for you. I'm hearing this. I'm like, good for you, hon. And she's like, and then I went out there, and I started dating, and it's been 2-3 years, nothing. So what is that then? What do you think that is? And there is an answer to that. Like you're like, all right, let's say someone turns around their looks game, right? Like where they, like for a woman, you can get a boob job and you can really enhance your attention and attraction, right? I mean, let's just be honest. It gets women and men's attention. There's some guys who go, oh, I hate artificial boobs or boob jobs. Okay, whatever. I'd say that more men like them than don't. Let's just say that, and they will get attention. Okay. Mm-hmm. So anyway, she was happy with the way she looked. She's like, but after 2 or 3 years, nothing. I can't meet the right guy. I can't meet this. So what do you think the problem is, Aleph, 23 years old with all your wisdom?
When she changed herself and why she's single, right? I think it's about her style or her attitude. That's what the big part to get along with someone.
Style and attitude. So style meaning in clothes or the way she acts?
I mean the way she acts.
Like a personality?
Yeah, her personality.
I would agree. There's one other part of this, though, that people overlook, and I talk about it a lot, and people constantly overlook it. And it's going to be the reason why single sucks for this woman. And it's it's environment.
I don't want to cut the line, but if she doesn't proud with herself, she can't start with anyone else.
That's true. Being proud of yourself, being happy with yourself. I'm saying she was at a point, this is what she told me, where her looks, because of the surgery and the diet and going to the gym, she's like, I look good. She felt good. She did have a little bit of a negative attitude.
That's why.
A little bit.
Yep.
She did. But she was ready to go out and date. Now, the area she lived in is a lot of married people. So think about this for a minute. I've talked about it many times. Where you live helps or hurts you being single or being married. There's certain areas where you'd live when there's more people married. There's certain areas in the like major cities allow more options because there's more people. Certain areas are going to allow you to do things. Beyond that, where do you hang out? It's like some people go to work, and then they maybe hang out with like a family member or something like that. They're not really interacting with that many people, so then they get on these dating apps, which work for some people, and some people just don't like them. It's not their thing. They just don't like them. They don't work very well for them, but they're not and dating apps is one of those things. It's kind of like I heard this this guy teaching NLP, which is a neuro-linguistic programming. He was doing a YouTube video, and he's talking about how people learn differently. So you've heard this before. People learn kinesthetic, which is feeling. People learn auditory, which is listening. And people learn kinesthetic, feeling, and not auditory. What was the other one? Visual. Excuse me. Visual and kinesthetic are number one, how you learn. So teaching as a student, a lot of it's auditory because you got to listen to the teacher, right? And this guy was saying that most people are not auditory learners, so they don't like class because they don't like to learn that way. They would rather draw a picture of it, or you know what I mean? I think this applies to dating apps. Some people, when it comes to dating in this way, it's very difficult because you are literally dealing with someone without, you go into all these dates cold. You see a picture, you find someone attractive, you got a couple texts back and forth, maybe you get a FaceTime or two, then you go out on a date, and I'd say at best it's a 50-50 chance the date goes good because you don't really even know that person. When you go out, in my experience, being 39 years old, being a little bit older, before dating apps were big, if I went out on a date with someone, I kind of knew him. I kind of knew her from work or school. Like, we interacted a little bit. So it wasn't like I just went on a date with someone. Now, dating apps are basically all blind dates. It's like people you don't know. And so some people don't have the patience for that, and there's a lot of bad dates, more bad dates you're going to have to go through. More interactions with people that you don't like, and you're like, wow, that was a bad experience. And so it can turn people off. And that's another reason being single sucks. If you depend on the dating apps, and dating apps are not your thing. I know other people, they fucking love dating apps. They find it abundant. They find it grand. They find it great. They look at it as a opportunity to meet more women and more men and hook up when they want to hook up. So who's right, who's wrong? Those are the people that say, oh, being single is outstanding. Being single sucks for those reasons. If you're not happy with the way you look, if you're not happy with the environment that you're living in and its options, if you don't like dating apps, because right now in 2020 with COVID, dating apps are real. You're going to have to find a way to deal with the fact that that's probably going to be the number one way that you're going to meet more people and have more options. You're going to have to find a way, and you're going to have to find your recipe for dating apps. There was a guy that just called in on the show, and he just said, yeah, look, I went on dating apps. I met someone good. Within a year, she broke my heart. I did it for another 2 years. And he's like, I got a playbook from it. I'd meet for a drink between 6 and 7. If it didn't work out, I'd take them home and be done. Take them home, back home. So it's like, he didn't go, oh, dating apps suck because I had bad experiences. No one likes me. And da-da-da. He went, no, I'm going to use dating apps. I'm going to have a playbook for them. And that's how it's going to work. So being single sucks. Also, if your past relationship was actually good. Like, sometimes you break up and your relationship was actually pretty good. It's like, oh yeah, we actually got along pretty well. We helped each other. She did a lot of things for me. She cared about me. There's a lot of positives. but the relationship had something to it that had you guys break up. She met someone new. You didn't like her attitude. You were never going to be able to have kids. There's all kinds of different things.
You had to stay in long distance.
Long distance, like you could have a good long distance relationship, but like at some point you're like, I can't do this forever. But you still love that woman. You found her attractive. In those particular cases, being single sucks because you're like, oh, I was with someone really good. Okay, like I had a really good one before. Now, what's really interesting is that Corey Wayne mentions this. The legend Corey Wayne, right? The YouTube legend. And I don't know if I agree 100%, but I get what he says. Just like when he says read his book 10 times. I don't know if you need to read his book 10 times, but yeah, I definitely understand what he means as far as getting material and living it. Maybe 5 or 6 would be enough, but he makes a good point. Meeting someone where the relationship from the get-go is effortless. Now let's think about that. Effortless means you go out and it just seems smooth. It's like I've had this before, and they end up being a girlfriend. You just go out and it doesn't feel like there's any restrictions. There's no like arguments. There's no awkward moments. It just feels clean, good, fun, and smooth. It feels like, oh, you like that music too? Oh, me too. Oh, you like to go to the beach? Oh, you like to do like everything just fits together like this nice, easy to form puzzle. And those kind of people that you meet like that, Corey Wayne says you only meet like 1 or 2 of those every 10 years or 3 of those every 10 years. Is that true? I don't know where you get those numbers. But I don't think you just meet them very easily. And so if your past relationship was one of these types of people that we had a good relationship, we got along well, and when you leave that relationship and you're single again, you're like, it's hard to find someone you connect with like that again. And so when you go out, you can find bits. You can find good physical attraction. You can find good sex. You can find someone you trust. But to find the whole ball of wax, the part where, like I said, it's fucking effortless. You go out, and it's just like, oh yeah, it's just gonna have a good time, have fun. You're carrying on. You finish each other's sentences. You line up values wise, maybe 80%, 70%, right? Like there's nothing that you're like, oh, but she does this, or he does this, right? Like someone will say, oh, a client of mine before was like, oh, but he snores. I can't deal with it. Like those are the kinds of things. They seem small, but in the beginning of a relationship, someone can break up with someone because they don't like their eating habits. They think they're messy. They don't like their snoring. They don't like the way they dress. Someone might, wow, that's really low. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's the way someone filters for who they like and who they care about. And so when you get into this, think about this. When you say, I don't like being single, look back at your past relationship or relationships and ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, was it a good relationship? Was it a bad one? Or was it just an okay one? Because then when you go into being single, this is the crazy part. You're going to be like, I got to find another really good relationship. They don't grow on trees. You don't usually just meet someone in a day, a month, or a week. If you're at a really good place in your life, you're doing really well, this is when being single doesn't suck. You're happy with the way you look, you're happy with your job, you're happy with your career, you're happy with your friends and family. And let's face it, if you live long enough, you're going to have moments where none of those things are lined up. And that's not in your control. But that's when single feels good, and it's a good place to be because you'll attract more people. That being said, you still won't get that person where you're like, this is effortless. It takes time. It takes a little bit of time. So the best parts of being single, someone would say meeting people, getting time to yourself, learning more. I would say one of the hidden gems is learning more about attraction. A lot of times people, until they're single, if they met their high school sweetheart or someone in their 20s, they basically just met someone they were attracted to. That person was attracted to them. And a lot of times you'll adapt and let go of things you don't like or prefer because you guys had intimacy and you were attracted to each other, so let's just let go of the fact that we don't really like hanging around each other. Someone gives into the other person. Once you're single, you can look at that. Now, when I was asked this question yesterday about what's better, being single or being in a relationship, I was kind of surprised by my answer, because I said, actually, to me, being in a relationship is better. But I said, because I've been in good relationships. But I said there's nothing better than the ultimate part of the relationship when it's new. When it's a new relationship in the beginning, the honeymoon phase. And the shitty thing about that is, I don't know. I'd like to think, I've talked to some people now, and now that I talk to people about their relationships and whatnot, you'd like to think you can elongate that and make it longer and better. But that honeymoon phase of like a year, 2 years for some people, maybe 2.5, that's great. That's the sweet spot. But if you think about it, being single would be the same way. There's being single in the beginning, if your relationship sucked, right? I've had people, they're married 29 years, they're married 15 years, they go, hey, dude, we were ready. We were broken up 3 or 4 years ago. Then being single is going to be outstanding. I've had another client, oh, we didn't have sex the last 3 years and slept in separate rooms. I'm like, Jesus Christ. So he becomes single, he's smiling. Hey, I found out my wife's cheating. He's smiling, telling me the story. You know why? Because deep down inside, he's like, oh, I got my out. Because somehow in his head, he thought he had to stay married even though he was miserable. Guess what? That same guy within 2-3 months met someone else, loved being single, and actually, began intimacy again in his life. So I went about 26 minutes on this topic. I think that might be enough. Let's get into the live stream a little bit here. We got 10 on deck, 3 likes. Thanks for it, folks. If you want to make a small donation, that's always appreciated. If not, that's fine too. All right, let's take a look at who's here today. Wina in Toronto. Oh, yeah. What's up, Ozzy411, if you're still on deck? Mr. Miami. We actually had a few people from Miami. I'm going to try a third time. Good for you, Wina. Wina or Wina? I always forget that. Thanks. I know you remember me. Hope you and everyone is doing well there. Excellent. Thanks for saying that. Mr. Philip Carlson, the legend continues. Always a pleasure. People should be healthy inside out. Some women are choosing to be single mom by choice before taking time to choose the right partner later. Coach, we'll have more women do what I do. Okay, that's an interesting thing. So she's saying that she's in her late 30s, and she, I believe, is pretty financially set or successful, and she's planning to have a baby on her own without a husband, artificially inseminated. I'm here, Coach, waiting to catch up. Catch up to what? Happily ever after. I've seen you on the comments a few times. How are you? Why being single sucks? It's an interesting question when you look at it from different angles, isn't it? It's interesting. I think that it sucks more. I've had a lot of women that have trouble with it that are in their late 30s or early 40s because they feel like they don't have much time left to secure a long-term partner. And all their friends have husbands.
That's why singles suck to them, right?
Yeah.
It's about the society that they spent.
Yes. So your environment, your friends, and your family really count, dude. I mean, it's really interesting. A friend of mine, this is before I did breakup coaching, but I helped him with his breakup quite a bit. He was in a 20-year marriage, and his wife left him. And years later, he admitted, or his wife admitted, their neighbor, who was like a really good friend of theirs, got a divorce. And it made her feel like, oh, she looks like, my friend looks like she's having so much fun. She's got so much ability to do what she wants. They split the house. She's got money to travel on her own. And it sparked her wanting to get a divorce herself because she saw one of her best friends do the same thing and it looked like fun. Someone would be like, wow, someone would be out of marriage that easily. It can happen. People are influenced by other people. And they're influenced by their environment. Like I said, there's women out there that are really upset that they have to go to a family Christmas party and everyone else has a husband and they don't. And they feel, what's wrong with me? But the reality is those other couples, I know that from the inside out, a lot of them aren't happy. So it's like a lot of them are like, oh, I wish I was single. So it goes both ways. It goes both ways. The opposite of being in a single place or being single and being happy with it would be an environment you like, happy with where you're at in life as an individual, and you've cleaned up some of your stuff from your past that has been roadblocks for you to meet new people in the past. And I would add, since your breakup, you know what you want now. That's a big one. Now that I've broken up, I know what I don't want. Even if the person is someone you want back, they obviously didn't want you for some reason. And that's why I always say addictions are kind of clean and easy to identify. If someone says, oh, the drinking problem was the reason or the drug problem, it's like, okay, we can say it was that. And then someone can go, that's what I need to work on. But a lot of times it's other stuff too. Oh. 11:11 right now. You're supposed to make a wish at 11:11. Did you know that, Aleph?
In your culture?
Not in my culture. I don't know. One of the people that you come on the live stream quite a bit, she's Vietnamese. She's always like, 11:11, make a wish.
In Thai, I don't know it's culture or not, but if the number like 11:11 or 10:10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as a time, it's like it's mean like someone missed you.
11:11 means someone misses you?
Yeah, like the number of that time is the same number. 10 at the 10 minute, like that.
Okay, I kind of don't understand.
Clip it.
Ozzy says, I'm single and live in Miami, and great job, and the best part, on done with child support. Do we have child support in Thailand?
Child support?
He just looked at me like, child support? Like, what's that? You don't even know what it means, huh?
We don't.
Danny says no. Danny knows what it is. Child support means that if you get divorced, and I could be wrong on this because different states are different ways. Someone might chime in and go, "No, that's not true. This is how child support." If someone gets divorced, a judge decides maybe who lives with the kids, who the kids live with more, and the person that lives with the kids less and possibly makes more money. There's all kinds of different parts of this. Bottom line is, I'm making this more confusing. You got to pay to take care of your kids. So if you made $100,000 and your wife made $10,000, you're gonna have to pay half of your money every month, and then the wife gets to decide how she uses that money. So the thing that guys get really upset with is like, what if the wife gets a new boyfriend but never gets married? You're still giving money to take, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times, and this, I've met guys before on the opposite end of this, by the way. It's not as common that the woman makes more money and the guy has the ability to go after her money. Not as common, but it does happen. And so there'll be a way like the woman will never get married again, have a boyfriend, and still be getting child support. I've met so many guys that are really upset about this, actually. Because they make good money, they have a good job, and they literally have sometimes half their paychecks gone. And it's supposed to go to their kids. Sometimes it's to the wife's lifestyle. So, like, Aleph's just looking confused right now. They don't even have this in Thailand. at all, right?
Even in some case that his wife cheated on him, but he had to make the child support.
It's not even because he cheated. He could be a good guy. She could have just got a divorce from him. Like there was someone I met here. I remember this a while back. These guys were cops. They were police officers in California. If you live in a police officers in America, I don't know if this is true in Florida or Toronto, but in California, if you're in an expensive city, they make a lot of money. They make to me, they make pretty good money. You know, someone will go, oh, that's not even that big of money. I mean, they make over $100,000 a year in San Francisco, easy. I forgot what it is. And they get overtime and things like that. They get a really good pension. Firemen, too. And these guys came here to Thailand, and they were visiting, and they were from, I think, Santa Barbara, which is a really nice area, like really nice. And they were, I don't know if there were cops there, a county outside of it. Anyways, they got paid well. They were really cool and everything like that. And they were telling me stories about guys that got divorces and that went from living in a house with a pool and having a Mercedes to living in a fucking one-bedroom apartment in a bad area. And the wife kept the house and got like 70% of their salaries. I was like, how could you get 70%? It was something silly. And he was like, they were like, the wife created a story that he was a bad guy or this or that. It's just, it was pretty scary, actually. And so people like that come out of those could be like, that's why being single doesn't suck. Yeah. Because they had a bad relationship.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's why like getting married and stuff can be very financially based. Very financially based. But I mean, on the flip side, you know, there are some guys out there and women out there that need to, once they get a divorce, there needs to be some kind of common ground to take care of the kid, you know, like to put money towards the kid. So it's not all bad, but it ends up being bad for some people. My birthday's 11/11/11/69. Wow, that's an interesting one. 11/11. So that just passed, actually. I think I knew someone else that just said their birthday was 10/11, I think it was. That's good. My birthday's 02/01/81, so we have three ones. 01, 02, 81. No, 2 ones. All right, folks, any questions on the live stream? Ozzy goes, "Are you cute?" To the happily ever after girl. I like that. That's a very nice question. That's an opening line right there. Is that what you open up with on dating apps, Aussie 411, when there's a message? Are you cute, or is it just your picture? I don't know. Your picture looks cute, but are you cute?
She cute or not, you gotta meet her by yourself.
Well, yeah, that's the thing now. I mean, the amazing thing about the dating apps is just that the amount of people that meet people long distance dating app wise and carry on. You know what I mean? Like you live far away and it's like, oh, let's start a relationship online and see if we meet one day. Wow. I don't know how that works. Rob, how you doing? You on deck still? Rob IS, Derek D. Did I lose everyone with the why being single sucks? If I had to say, I'd say that being single is good, and I'd say that being in a good relationship is good until it isn't. And that's the thing. Neither one is always good. Neither one is always bad. And it has to do with the things that you control in your own life and then dealing with problems when they come up. But you're going to have bad dates when you're single. You're going to have bad moments when you're with someone. The things that are really interesting about human beings individually is that when you're dating someone, sometimes after 3 months, 6 months, or a year, you're like, oh shit, I didn't know they were really like this. People so all of a sudden they start to show their teeth. It's like, you're like, where did this come from? Like, I didn't know you were this way.
Something on his sleeve.
Yeah, and then when you're with some people, when you're with a woman for a long time, in my case, and and relationships, you like after a time they start to change from the person you used to know 2 or 3 years ago. They're a little bit more negative. They're a little bit more upset. It has to do with their new job. It has to do with a bad relationship in their family. These are things that come up. And so nothing's eternal. It's all moments. It's all moment to moment to moment to moment. That's why you ever have just a fucking bad day or a bad morning where you're complaining a lot, and then you're like the next day you're like, I'm in a good mood today, man. You had better sleep.
Mm-hmm.
The sun's out. You heard a couple good songs, and then you look back and you're like, hey, man, what was I complaining about? What the hell's going on? Have you ever? There's another thing too. It's like sometimes the things that you're upset about or you're complaining about, whether it's in a relationship or not, you'd kill to be at this point in your life 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 6 months before. Like you're like, oh, I wish I just had this. And then you get it and you start complaining. That's when you got to be like, whoa, when is it going to end? 40 minutes in here. Ozzy, good to see you back. Ozzy says he wants to get back out to Thailand. He's been here before, wreaking havoc. Happily ever after. Did you have any questions, Philip? Rob, Sammy Elliott, welcome. Being single is the best. Justin Adams says, I love being single. Luna Martinez, I hope you're well. How about feeling alone and not lonely?
Oh. I like this topic. If you talk about that,
How about feeling? What do you mean by that, Ozzy? First, I would ask you what you mean by feeling alone and not lonely. What's the difference between being lonely and feeling alone? I think that would mean the same thing, wouldn't it? Does that mean the same thing or no? Not to you, Aleph?
not to me.
What is feeling alone versus being lonely?
How to say? With the feelings, describe as a word is not that easy, but feeling alone and not lonely. Right?
Natalie Massey, why do you hate being single? Please share, Natalie. Love to hear your perspective, hon. No contact for 3 months. But what would you say your reason for hate being single is? I would say that when I've been in breakups, I would say that, yeah, you have a feeling of being alone because there's a void.
Mm-hmm.
There's something missing that was there before.
Yeah, someone like to be alone but not like to be lonely.
Yeah, lonely would mean more like you don't have as many friends.
Yeah.
You don't have people to associate with at work.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be something you actually could work on. That could be worked on as an individual. Then you have to go to more group events. You have to get up off your ass and be more social. That doesn't mean you need to date.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're not ready to date, but you don't have to be lonely. You can hang out, friends, family members. I've had clients before where my family doesn't live here. Well, then you can reach them on FaceTime or Skype. Like, you have to reach out. You have to make an effort. People aren't going to save you. No contact for 3. Happily ever after, LOL. I miss having someone to talk and care and love. I understand that. And to be Natalie, how long were you with your partner, and what happened basically? Well, you're happy with yourself, but lonely with someone, if it makes sense. But not lonely with someone, if it makes sense. I think for me, myself, in the times that I've become single after a breakup, I've always been someone that, as social as I am, I can be alone and be okay. Like, I'm not. Some people don't like being alone. It makes them uncomfortable because they always lived in a house full of people. So, like, being in a house alone makes them uncomfortable, or going out to dinner alone makes them feel like everyone's looking at me because I'm at dinner alone. I've never been that way. Because I've lived on my own a few times. But yeah, you definitely have times when you're alone where you miss having your partner, where you miss having your girlfriend. And I think that the things that stood out to me were whatever they used to fill a need or a place. And for example, if you had a hard day at work and you want to talk about it, that would be one. I think one of the ones that stood out to me out of a breakup, I remember I was in real estate in California at the time, and I was looking at getting a really big commission, like really big commission. And the deal was almost done. The deal ended up falling apart, and that's just how shit was going at the time. That's another. I think I've told this story before, but I remember thinking I'm looking at clearing like 35 grand, like over $1 million bought, Aleph, like on one deal. And we're going through the house, all this stuff. I should be fucking ecstatic, excited, happy. And I'm looking like I just lost the love of my life, breakup. So this is when people are like, oh, money can't get you everything, right? And I remember thinking to myself, like I said, the deal fell apart, but it was about 50 to 70% done that I was going to get this commission. Which, I mean, I was in real estate. I had other commissions before, but this was one of the bigger ones I had that year. Like I said, it was like 35 grand. One stop. And I wasn't even excited remotely. I remember like, wow, that's a dark fucking moment. You know why? Because in my head, I'm like, who am I going to celebrate with? I was like, I want to go home and tell my girlfriend about, I'm going to get this money and then we can go on a vacation and then we can go do, you know what I mean? That's what was going through my head. And that's when being alone will bug you, because there's moments where you really cherish and value your time with your girlfriend. And it's different for different people. So here, let's go. Someone happily ever after says, I am cute. I like the confidence. Good for you. I feel like feeling alone temporary and feeling lonely is longer lasting than can be a lifetime.
Oh yeah.
I'll say this. In doing coaching and talking to a lot of different people in the world, talked to people in Argentina, I've talked to people in Canada, Austria, England, Ireland, Philippines. I've talked to people all over. And there's a lot of lonely people in the world now. Like that, I didn't think about this because I was going to talk about this as a topic for another show, but
Maybe because of COVID.
No. I'm sorry to cut you off, but no, it's not. Okay. It's not because of that. No, it's I don't know if this applies to Thailand as much, because in Thailand you still have a family element where people live at home longer and you live in your families and you live close. Like your families usually live close. Mm-hmm. But if a lot of people that live in the country, a lot of their family will go to Phuket or Bangkok to work, correct? Because like there's more jobs there.
Yep.
Okay, but human beings evolved to be social.
Yeah.
Like look at monkeys, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never see a monkey that's just like living on his own in the jungle. I don't study monkeys or primates, but that's pretty true, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's not a monkey that's like, yeah, I got this part of the forest and I'm gonna live over here, and then I'm gonna build like a fucking jungle fence with trees and everything and go, this is my land. No one else can come here. Right? And get my own food and not eat with anyone.
My forest.
Yeah, like no one in the wild claims land.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like if you really think about it, if those are our closest, it's not fucking ancestors, but you know what I mean, like the primates, right? We were meant to live more like Native Americans in tribes, where like you have 150 to 300 people, you help each other out. Yeah, you get in fights and arguments, but I think that's how people were supposed to evolve. Now we have this thing where apartments. Just think about an apartment or condo. Here's a really interesting perspective from myself. I've lived in apartments and condos before. I don't know how many times, but I have, and I don't like them. I had an ex-girlfriend that's like, oh, I like it so much better because it's easier to clean. It's not as much work, right? There's no yard. There's no this. Less windows. When you go into an apartment or condo, you tend to like, there's no backyard. That's one, like you might have a view, but there's no fucking backyard. And people, when I've lived in the bigger the apartment complex, I've lived in one that was like 300 units. And we had a giant pool. We had a fitness center. But it felt like there were so many people that lived in there that lived in their own little place that everyone didn't talk to each other as much.
Not like society.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, it was less friendly.
Mm-hmm.
It was less friendly and more like once you got in your room, you stayed in your room. Maybe someone would be like, oh, not me. I'm just giving you my perspective. Then I stayed in another apartment. There was only like 10 places, and it was a U shape, and we all had the doors facing each other. It was a U shape with a pool in the middle. Very social because of the way it was set up and structured. Everyone was the same age. So what I'm getting at is the loneliness isn't from your breakup. I think society's changed. I think the internet has occupied people's minds in a way of fantasy. I think the fact that a lot of people get socialized through fucking Netflix. I mean, people think they're a part of these fucking shows. Like there's people that are like really passionate about TV, like really fucking passionate about it. Like they'll watch, 7 series, and it's part of life now. I'll watch some Netflix and stuff like that, but like to just do that shit all the time, you're basically living life through TV. Like you're like, oh, that's a great family on TV. You're getting your social life through the fucking movie, right? And so I think that people evolved to be families, to be groups, to be friends, and so what I would say is if you're feeling alone, you gotta find ways to do group activities. And right now, COVID, okay, there might be a big excuse depending on where you live. I could dig that. I mean, I know that I wince at it, but I mean, it's a better thing than sitting around watching TV. People are doing Zoom and FaceTime meetups with their buddies. Like I haven't done this. My group of friends from high school had talked about it a while back, like where we'd get, you can have a beer and you're basically talking through the computer, right? That would be better than being alone at home and going, oh, I miss my buds. Because this is why you're feeling alone. It's not just your breakup. It's just society on its own. You got to a point where the only person that you spent a lot of time with was your girlfriend. Myself included, I've had it happen. And then when you're out of the breakup, you're like, who do I hang out with now? I got friends, but they weren't. My girlfriend was like 24/7. So that's the alone part, I think. And you really got to, number one, deal with the alone part. Don't fight it. Don't think you're a loser. Don't think, what's wrong with me? I actually take that time now to do solo shit. I'll go for a hike by myself. I'll go to the beach by myself, listen to music, and be okay with being by myself. But then when it gets old, you have to be the one to be like, all right. Now, some people are alone more, too, because the group of friends or the people they work with, they don't really like them. They actually are like, I don't actually like hanging out with this person. They just live close by. I really don't like this person at work, but I work with them. And then they get stuck in those kind of relationships that are inauthentic. So I think being alone actually is a sign of the times. And that's why when people break up, I'm like, very big thing, dude. I know I say it all the time. Where are you moving to? If you stay in the same house, it's really difficult because that house is associated with your ex. So when you walk in the door at 6 p.m. and your ex used to be laying on the couch, hey, hun, did you want me to make you dinner? And she's not there anymore. It's almost ghostly. You walk in your house, you're like, fuck, it's 6 o'clock, she's not here. Then it feels weird. Everything in your life, your brain wants to make familiar and wants to get you to get a playbook. And so that's why when you work at a job, even you worked at a like coffee club, like a cafe, right? Like that's busy. Yep. I bet when you first started, you were like, fuck, man, this is a lot of work.
No.
Okay, here we go. But did you know how to do everything?
Yeah.
You knew how to do everything?
Yep. Like how to serve it. Just 1 hour before we gonna before we gonna start work, we will have like training.
So did you, like the first couple days you had that job, did you just feel like, oh, I'm made for this? I'm so good at it?
Or I'm excited.
Oh, God.
I'm excited.
You're such a goofy individual. But before that job, you worked at McDonald's, right?
No, before that job, I worked. Actually, coffee club is the first place that I have worked.
Okay, so you're excited?
Yes.
But you didn't know how to do everything as well as you knew how to do it 2 months later. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
Actually, it's just 1 month. I know everything.
You know how to do everything. Okay. So what I'm saying is when you'd come in there, you knew exactly what you had to do.
Yeah.
Bam. And actually someone else would go, wow, that's a lot of work. 8 hours on your feet, talking to a lot of different people.
Yeah. After I just realized.
But the comfort is, I know what to do. And you are a part of a team.
Yep.
So you had other people in there. Now, if your team sucks, that sucks. Like if
Yeah.
you have a bad manager or if you have one person that's really a jerk, you know what I mean? Then it really sucks because you're like, fuck, I got to work with this person. So that counts.
Yeah.
So that's when all these experiences we have contribute to loneliness and being alone and that. But I have this thing right now where I think that I think the ultimate life is to have multiple groups, not a lot, but you have to be a part of a couple different tribes, a couple different groups. The ultimate is to have your family around. I don't currently, like, because I chose to live in Thailand. My parents live in California. Our family's not that big. It's kind of, everyone lives in different places because they went places for work. And it's a little bit sad, actually. But on the flip side, how are you going to meet friends and family beyond that, right? So it's actually a choice in that a lot of times you get caught up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife or your partner, whatever the hell you want to call it, as being the one. And really what you need to do is probably diversify. And the people that do really well when they become single have friends and family in place that can support them and they can pivot out of the relationship and have some support right away. The ones that feel more alone are ones that their relationship was first, second, and third as far as where they got their love and attention from, camaraderie and whatnot. All right, Natalie Massey, 1 year. 1 year is not too long. That sounds like something you can get through if you want to write your story. G Money on deck. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well, bud. How's the martial arts thing going? Have you getting by that goal? Question, do you think you can feel that person missing you or thinking about you, or do you think that's BS? Actually, I do. I believe in collective unconscious, and I believe that when people are thinking about you or feeling something about you, that depending on how sensitive you are to it, I do believe that affects you. Just like if you, in the middle of the night, if you had a dream about someone and the next day I don't like saying it, but the next day something bad happens to them and you're like, oh my God, I had a dream about them. I had an aunt, a great aunt. It was my mother's aunt. Great woman, Auntie Franny. I never knew her son, but her son got killed in a I think it was a drug deal in the 60s. This is in Santa Cruz. This is just a story I heard about later on. Him and his wife got shot. I believe in front of the daughter. The daughter was left. And she had a dream the night before that something had happened to her son. Like, that happens a lot in all cultures, right? Like that does happen. Just like on the extremely low case, have you ever thought about someone and then they call you? Alice saying no, not really. Have you ever had that happen? I've had that happen. Or you've been thinking about someone and then you check your email and they just sent you a message. This doesn't have to be your boyfriend or girlfriend. It's like, how does the internet work? Where does the information from my computer come from? It's kind of fucking weird when you think about it, huh? Like, the computer, this little computer is not storing all that information. It's pulling it from somewhere, right? Yeah. It's pulling it from somewhere in the sky, some wavelength of information. Don't you think your brain works the same way? Alice confused. Think about it. Do you think all your thoughts and all your things are all in your brain?
Yep.
So I do believe when someone's missing you or thinking about you that you can have increased feelings or thoughts about them. I do think that that's true, Natalie. People, I think, are more sensitive to that than others. They call them empaths. Yeah, I definitely believe that, and there's something to be said for that. No more dating apps for me. Bad luck with that. I'm staying single for now, working on myself, all new to me. I've been in a relationship most of my adult life till now. Lonely at times. And that's okay. It's okay to be lonely at times and deal with it. Better off single than being in a bad relationship. I would say better off single with my eyes wide open and open to a good relationship if it comes my way. G Money Rob, what's up, brother? Hope all is well. 1 is the loneliest number that you'll ever know. Wow, G Money, that's deep. No man is an island. I've never heard that quote before. No man is an island. When you're single, need more hobbies. T-Chat are fun for you, will take up that space. I don't know what T-Chat is. Alan Lewis, the internet has made being single more bearable. See, some people would say no, some people would say it's good, some people say it's bad. It's sad to know a huge majority of people will go through a breakup at least once in their lifetime. Oh, fuck yeah. But really, there's people that have been married for fucking 60 years or 50 years and go, stay single, man. Yeah, I've met them before. I've met him, and you're like, wow, you've done really well, man. Like, you're still together with your wife, and you've got 60 years, and and the guy's like, fucking don't ever get married.
If you would like to follow your dream, just don't get married.
I mean, it's so to me, marriage is a love pension. It's gonna pay off in the end. It could be boring in parts, but in your 70s and your 80s, it would be nice to be with someone that you've been with for a long time, because you're probably not gonna want to be single at that age. You're not gonna get divorced in your 70s and 80s. So it's a love pension in that sense, but different strokes for different folks. I think it's like a rite of passage as a human being. It's pretty suspicious to me if someone's like 40 years old and they're like, I've never had a breakup. It's like, really? Okay. It's just like when people ask me what I do, and I'll mention like, oh, I do breakup coaching online. At first someone's like, what? And then they'll go, actually, when I had my breakup, it was really, they go into like their thought of their breakup or breakups, and they're like, yeah, actually, that's something I would have needed some help on, because it's just human. I noticed that women use their kids when single for that lonely space. I mean, it sounds like that would be work for some people. Luna, aren't those called premonitions? Premonitions would be like telling the future. I'm talking more about what I mean by that. Natalie, if you're still on, what I mean by that is I do believe, and some people are more in tune than others, that if someone's thinking about you or someone you're close to is having a bad day, that you can feel it in some sort of way. Call me crazy. That's just people that you're close to. That's just people that you're close to. And if you've ever been in a relationship that's really close, have you ever said, oh, let's go see this movie and go to dinner? And the woman's like, that's exactly what I was thinking. How did you read my mind? Does that mean you're reading mine? I don't know, but when you're lined up, that stuff happens more often. And certain people are better at being in tune. It's like I talked about before. How does this happen, Natalie? When women live together, we talked about this when Jessica was on. When women live together, they get the same period cycle. That's weird. Have you ever heard of that before, Aleph? Do you know what a period is for a woman?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they have a time of the month that it happens every time of the month. There's research out there, and I've had women tell me this. And like I said, Jessica's like, I've had multiple roommates, and it's true. When they live together, their period becomes the same cycle. So they're in tune. That's like, how does that happen? I don't know. I don't know what that's about, right? I mean, so the other part of it is like, have you ever been around people and you're like, oh, I just feel really good being around this person. And then there's some person you meet or like is in a room and you're like, there's something wrong with this person. I feel like I don't want to be around them. Get them away from me. We do it more with dogs because dogs are easier to sense, right? Have you ever been around a dog and immediately the dog looks at you and you look at the dog and you know how a dog's hair stands up on their back? Have you ever seen a dog when they're nervous or upset, the hair stands up?
For me, like a cat, yep.
Okay, a cat does it, right? We do it too. We just don't have the fucking hair. It's feeling. Have you ever got that feeling like, oh,
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's like tingles. That's a feeling. Alan Lewis, Matt, great point about people and long-term shit relationships. Yeah, you think like, oh man, this person has it great, and they're like, God, man, don't ever get in a relationship. I just invited my adult daughter over for dinner tomorrow night. Good for you. What about MGTOW type? Not referring to crazy, hateful MGTOW. They are legit happy being single since they've checked out of relationships and focused on themselves. Rob, I don't understand your question completely. Can you clarify that a little bit? Premonitions are for real. Have you had a premonition before? Premonition to me is just basically telling a future event. My dad would be one. I told you. I told you. I knew that was going to happen. Thanks, bud. It's just the way you wrote it. It's a little hard to understand what you're getting at. But premonitions, those are a little. What's an example of happily ever after? I'm interested of a premonition you've had. Matthew, to you are the best breakup coach. Well, thank you, Matthew. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you. What nationality is that last name? Tiu. Is that Polynesian? Tiu. Matthew, if you have any questions after giving a kind compliment like that, the door's open for you. The MGTOW type will argue that being single does not suck since they've found happiness in being single. For most after being in depressive bad relationships. Aussie 411, Aussie 411 says, I see my future in Pattaya with a couple of honeys.
Nice one.
Keep up the good work. You helped me a lot in the past. Well, thanks, Matthew. I appreciate that. Vietnamese. Okay, cool, man. Did you send your story in before? MGTOW type will argue that being single does not suck since they've found happiness in being single. Rob, I would have to say I would have to talk to the individual guy about that because I don't find people, people like to be labeled like I'm a MGTOW. Okay, what does that mean to you? And what does that do for you? And if you talk to 1,000 MGTOWs, they might give you some different answers. But it makes a lot of people feel better to be a part of a group. I would say, though, that because MGTOW and pickup community would not seem like, they wouldn't seem to be something that overlaps, right? They're two separate groups with separate beliefs. The thing about, I think, being a pickup artist, and I think Neil Strauss, who I respect a lot as an author, would agree with this, that wrote The Game and then wrote the book The Truth. Great books. What you're doing when you enter that world of being a pickup artist is you're making up for lost time, and you want to get really good at something you haven't been good at before, or you're really good at it naturally, so you just want to enhance that part. But if you look at Neil Strauss and his books on the pickup community, guys will always meet their matches. In other words, they'll always meet that one that they feel like, actually, this is not someone I just want to hook up with. I really, really care about this woman. And then that set of skills and strategies would be different than being a pickup artist, and they kind of get stuck. Yes, it's true about the period. Yep. $15 on deck. 9 likes. Thanks for the likes, folks. Even coworker woman can get the same site. Isn't that interesting? That's interesting to me. That says a lot about human beings and how they line up together. And so having those kinds of thoughts, I've had a breakup before where, for a couple of weeks I was feeling headaches, I was feeling upset, and I was like, am I getting this from my ex? Because this isn't normal for me. That's true about the puas that meet their match. Heard that a few times before. That's not from my own experience. That's from reading the book the 2 books by Neil Strauss and his experiences, because it's different. They're susceptible to falling in love, and then they don't know what to do. But if you look at a lot of pickup artists, especially in the book, not some of them are naturals. In other words, it comes really easy to them, and it's something they get. So like there's in your life, you can do things naturally, and you get a lot of credit for it, and then you like doing that. Like Michael Jordan or Larry Bird, even though they failed a little bit earlier in their careers, they were good at basketball. They were tall. They were athletic. And so from an early age, they were really good at it. So they wanted to get better because they got credit for it. They got attention for it. It's not just that they wanted to make money and be famous. That was just extra. So pickup artists, if you're good at something when you're young, sometimes you want to keep doing it because people go, man, hey, Al, if you're really good at that. And then you're like, that feels good. That's something I should do more of. Sometimes you're good at something you don't like doing. Right? That's the other thing. And then there's some things that you want to learn how to be good at because you want them so bad. And that was what Neil Strauss was. Neil Strauss was bad with women. He was a nerd. He had trouble. And so he was like, let me learn how to be a pickup artist because I want to make up for lost time. And then you overcompensate. And that's what his book talks about. What's up, Skinner? Interesting draft pick for you guys. I just saw a video on that. We got 19 on deck, 10 likes. Thank you kindly. If you do want to drop a donation, that is appreciated. If you don't, that's fine too. Alan Lewis, I've noticed that the red pill gurus both rip women while being obsessed with them. How to pick them up, but at the same time saying how horrible women are. I can't listen to them anymore. I don't have a problem with people with the red pill. I mean, everyone, the funny thing is about doing what I do, YouTube, the internet, it creates a platform for everyone. If you have the guts, the balls, the ability to talk, have an opinion, you have the right to have a channel. And what you consume as content is really important also, that it lines up with your values. I mean, I've had people ask me before, talk to me, they're like, well, you're an expert. I don't know if I'm an expert. I'll tell you what I do. When someone pays me money to talk to them about their breakup, I listen, number one, which is a lost art. Number two, I do my best to help them. Now, that sounds like really simple, right? Because it's like, oh, yeah, that's what everyone... No, that's not what everyone would do. If someone hears about their friend or family's breakup or a random person, sometimes people aren't thinking, let me help them. Sometimes people are thinking, God damn, this fucker's pathetic. Sometimes they're thinking like, I got to go, man. I got a date tonight. Sometimes they're thinking, wow, I thought she was really hot. I can't understand why you were with her, why you broke up with her. They're not thinking, how can I help you with this? It's a different intention. And it's just a mindset when it becomes your job. All right. Mystery. Yeah, that's who I was thinking. Mystery is the ultimate pua, dressing crazy, how it's color for clothes, paint your nose. To me, Mystery would be a guy that being a pickup artist came naturally to him. And so he got good at it. He got credit for it. He didn't do it to overcompensate for something else. It was something he was already good at, and he became better at it. Neil Strauss, on the other hand, was never a pickup artist and had to work really hard at it. And then once he got into the pickup artist game, loved it, because what I call it is like, if you have an empty bucket in your life, let's say when you were a kid, you were always poor. This is why, if you look at a billionaire's past, like any of the billionaires in the world, which to me is just ridiculous that someone's worth $1 billion, that just seems crazy. That just seems like, millionaires, okay. Billionaires? What's left, dude? You should be giving a lot of money away. A lot of them grew up poor. And so they never think they have enough money because they're still that kid that's trying to make enough money to take care of mom or get some food. The other ones were born rich and just learned all the secrets of the trade and know how to walk on people or do what they need to do to get money, and they value money differently. So there's two tracks to that. There's two tracks to that usually. Should read The Beta Male Revolution by Alan Roger Curtis. Real eye-opener. I have the game in Bible version. I don't know what that means. The game and Bible version. What does that mean? I've never heard of the beta male revolution. That's interesting. I'll check that out, Ozzy. Not true all cases, Alan Lewis. Red pill rules. Okay, up to you. Some red pill like MGTOW take the terminology and use it as identity to their anger and hate. It's quite pathetic, actually. I mean, if you're... That's why I said when you talk to individuals, it's like, if someone's like, oh, all women are this, it's like, no, you can't ever do that. What you're saying is, when someone says all women are this, what they're really saying, translation, listen to me, folks. This happened to me from a woman. This is what a woman did to me, which is a victim statement anyways. They did this to me. I didn't have a choice in the matter. And number two, so everyone else should realize that they too will have the same experience, which is completely, utterly ignorant. Being honest about female nature is often mistaken for hating women. I think people mistake women for being nothing but sugar, spice, and everything nice, but that's not the case. No. Well, they're intricate beings, right? Individual women have individual issues. I mean, there's so many things that go into personality traits that are beyond female and male. Someone loses their parents at a young age. Someone... look at how affected people are when they've been molested by a family member or messed with. Abuse. All these things add up to different kinds of things in human beings. Red pill, its purest form, is legit, and it's just a way of understanding the truth of what it is. Premonition. On my couch, kind of napping, I hear the neighbor on his motorcycle. I jumped up knowing he was going to crash. He crashed. That's interesting. That is a premonition. That is a premonition. Regarding Neil Strauss, he was the first semi-commercialized that world to a wider audience. I suspect that he felt that he could commercialize the lifestyle and profit from it with the book. I think it's the most incredible thing Neil Strauss ever did was expose his father in the truth. Has anyone read The Truth by Neil Strauss? That's the most incredible thing I've ever heard someone. Have you heard of this book, Danny? Oh my good. I don't even want to ruin it for you. He starts out the book. He does a really good job of leaving an open loop. An open loop means he'll tell you like a piece of the story and then start talking about something else. And so you're like, wait, go back to that. Go back to that. I want to know what that's about. He found a videotape of it, and I could be getting this wrong. I haven't read this in a long time. He found a videotape. This is the book, The Truth, Neil Strauss. He found a videotape of his father. Excuse me. He found a videotape of some kind of porn his father was watching. Okay. Like, porn's out there or whatever. And he's like, I couldn't believe what I saw. I couldn't believe all this stuff. And then he leaves it alone, and he's going to come back to it. And you're kind of like, what kind of porn was it? Like, what was it? What was so bad about it? And he leaves it alone. This is his dad, like his real dad. And he's exposing this in a book for the public. I was like, damn. Like, and he grew up with his dad. It's not like he didn't grow up with his dad or anything like that. Finally, he divulges it. His dad's into handicap porn. Danny's just like, what? Like women that are like have like knee braces, that are like in wheelchairs. This is what he said in the book. It's absolutely shocking. And it's also shocking that he told the world about it. You know what I mean? I was just like, holy. When you read it, you're like, what? I didn't even know that existed, right? Yeah. And Neil Strauss's mom had like a knee brace, like she had a leg problem. So it was just weird, right? Like, but on the flip side, like I said, is this guy still in a relationship with his pop? Like, does he still have? Do they talk? He put this in a book. I won't name names, but looking back, a popular coach I used to felt rather shallow when I did this coaching. I feel your approach is more authentic. Well, thanks, Skinner. I've just had a few coachings last week where people were telling me about other people they worked with and not being happy with it. Freaked me out. He was fine. Totaled his bike. Exactly. People that use blanket statements as 100% way things are, not complete things, because that's the worst thing anyone can do. It's so common too, Rob. oh, all women are this, or women do this, or women do that, or men do this, or men do that. No, translation, that's what happened to you. That was in your life experience. And now you want everyone to feel the same thing because it makes you feel better. I understand people looking into red pill a lot of times, it seems like they don't see any nuance in situations. They always look to project certainty. Yeah, certainty is a danger. That's one of the benefits I think I've had of not getting training in a certain type of psychology, like behavioral analysis, attachment theory. I'm not putting those people down, but they constantly reference generalizations that they've read in textbooks. And so they're very certain that they know what's going on and what to do instead of listening to an individual's interpretation, which is what I do. Red pill is not about hate women. It's about understanding of women and their nature. I love women. I get enough of them, okay? I can't wait to read it, The Truth. Oh, The Truth by Neil Strauss is a great book. Red Pill is a myth. It's from a movie, a fantasy movie, The Matrix, please. A lame movie as there is. Mac, do you enjoy Dave Chappelle? Yeah, I mean, I like him. I don't like him as much as, other people love him. I remember when he came out with the Rick James bit. That was a big one. He's cool. He's all right. The Matrix is not a lame movie. Now we're just being dumb. Keanu Reeves. If the red pill isn't for you, then that's great. But it's a fact that people like Rollo have saved a lot of men's lives. When faced with divorce, many men don't see a way out and end their lives. I'm with you, G Money. There's different remedies for different people in different situations. G Money, I think the last statement applies to people in general. They have some good points, G Money. I wouldn't call it red pill. It's basic common sense. I think Rollo claims to have saved lives as a selling point. Well, if he's got the intention of helping men out there, good for him. And like I said, there's certain people that need to hear what Rollo has to say and what he's saying. And I think that there's other people that it won't apply to. It's just like when I talk to someone and they're like, they suffer from nice guy syndrome or they're too nice to a woman. There's no way that guy can become a Navy SEAL in a night and be fucking Hell's Angel. There's a little bit of realizing who a person is and how they're being too much of one thing and maybe how they can change in a way that suits them. He goes back to saving lives line all the time. That's a bit dramatic. What are you expecting from Wiseman in his rookie year? I don't have high expectations, no, but I think that being 7'1" with a 7'6" wingspan and a nice shooting stroke, he should be fucking good. And playing with the players around him, he should be damn good. I wanted him to be the pick. He's got the best situation possible. He works hard. He's got I think he could, like they said, he could be Javal McGee or DeAndre Jordan right away. But we just didn't see him. I think that he would have done what he did in those first 3 games of college throughout his college career. His shooting stroke's underrated. I just don't know if he gets the thing that rookies have. Is he going to get rattled when things go wrong or when he's facing someone bigger than him? I don't think you understand how lost some men can be when they lose everything and how completely female-centered a society really is. Men have no real outlet to figure out their problems. That's a good point, G Money. I would say that I don't live in a female-centered society where I live right now, to be honest. And so when you say that you're talking about America, I know what you mean. And I think that when you're saying a guy loses everything, maybe a divorce, maybe money, maybe money and those kinds of things, and that's tough. You're right. I lost to lose everything. I haven't lost everything in a situation like that. I've talked to guys that are in those situations, and it's bleak, it's dark, and I do my best to help them, and I usually do. Those kinds of situations, G Money, it takes a lot more digging out of the hole, though. It takes a lot more work. Why not say you're saving men's life? That means his work is sociology and has a degree. Rolo does go. How would you describe the mental health aspect of society in Thailand? Is it a big deal like it is here? It's becoming more. It's not a big deal as America, because they don't hand out pills here like they're candy like in America, so, and labels. But is it becoming more of an issue? I think mental health is related to social media, and the internet has played a big role, in my opinion. And I think that just happened. Saving men's lives, does that mean that he caters to a suicide community? Well, saving someone's life can be interpreted in many different ways. Call it common sense or call it red pill. Men nowadays are forced to go looking on the internet for information that our fathers should have given us. It is depressing. Yeah, I suppose so. I think that we all go to the internet. I think we all go to the internet for information now, right? That's just human, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Just everyone goes to the internet for.
It's quick and easy now.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
I mean, Danny, you're what, 22 or 23?
22.
22. Alice, 23. I mean, their generation, that you've known it since you were 10.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if we get in an argument, you're like, hold on, let's Google it.
Yeah.
We can. So I think that everyone. And the amazing thing is, people in their 60s and 70s. My dad, who's not into technology and stuff, he has an iPad out all the time now, and he does searches and different things like that. So I think that's how everyone looks. And when you find something that suits you and that you like, it's fine. The one thing that we do have now, though, is the paradox of choice. We have a lot more choices, and I think that can get confusing.
Yeah.
Right? I think the thing that's tough is, I'm not saying about anyone, but when you're sad or you're depressed or you have problems and you go on the internet, you can go down a rabbit hole where you get so much information that you're overloaded and you don't know, oh, well, maybe I'm this person. Maybe I'm that person.
Yeah.
And I think it can hurt people sometimes, because they go, oh yeah, that's me. I'm a narcissist. Oh yeah, that's me. I'm a bipolar depressant. And it's like, I don't know if that's going to help you. I don't know if that's going to help you. I think sometimes taking on that could hurt you. What do you think?
I think that the easiest way is just to seek help, or at least talk about it.
Right.
Yeah, and in Thailand, like lately, have been like more talk now in social media and stuff.
Because it's becoming more of a problem.
Yeah, it's.
I know that teaching at the university, there's been more kids that are quote unquote depressed, right? Depressed, and like I'm just saying from my point of view, I think with the internet now, when someone's sad, I think that social media is a big part of it. Personally, I'm not going to blame it all on that, but I think young people, when you're in your teens, you're trying to figure out who you are. Sometimes you don't have your dad around. Sometimes you don't have your mom around. Sometimes something bad happens in your family. And those things all contribute, right? You're unsure about a lot of things. Then you have social media, and it's like, wow, my friend's life looks so great.
Yeah.
I'm so fucked up. Or, like, wow, my friend's so rich. I want to be like them. Wow, like there's so much competitive happiness on the online, and I think a lot of it just makes it look like everyone's life is so much better than mine.
Yeah, I think that social media, as helpful at times as it is, I think sometimes it's just confusing.
In what way confusing?
Like, you scroll one time and then you see like a review that this movie is bad, and then you scroll one more time and a shootout 100 people die, and what are you supposed to feel sometimes, right?
Say that again about a movie.
Like you scroll on Facebook or
Scroll on
whatever.
Facebook.
Yeah, or whatever, like one time, and then this movie is bad, a review, and then you scroll on one time, I show it out, 100 people died.
About the movie, the 100 people died in the movie.
No, I mean, like, you scroll down like your Facebook feed.
Oh, you're saying next story.
Yeah.
Ah.
Like, it's so many things.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If you, it's like if you think about, your brain is like a computer. The computer was modeled after the brain.
Yeah.
And so computers, right? If you have too much information on your computer runs slow, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true. If you put too much information, you could like fuck up your computer too, right? You got to. And what do we do with our computers? We clear them. We can't do that with the human brain as well. But like sometimes you want to, right?
Yeah.
Like just fucking. When I was in my breakup, I remember years back, I was like, I wish I could just clear my brain because of all the thoughts and memories. But the only thing you can do is get less of, like, stay away from that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, like I said, your brain's constantly going to go, oh, new information, and you're not acting on any of the information. So all the information is passive, and you don't do anything. You just take information. I think the internet can paralyze people's thoughts. Instead of, maybe you would, in the past, you would, that's the part that's crazy, Danny. Let me get back to, if I go on YouTube and I look up how to get an ex back, Aleph, because Aleph is so sick of this because he's been doing video editing for me, right? I can pull that up and I'm like, oh great, there's 5 videos on this and I just got in a breakup and I want to look this up. But YouTube will also give me 5 videos on Donald Trump. They'll give me 5 videos on basketball because I'm a basketball fan, so they know that. And so I'll go from watching like 2 videos on how to get an ex back to like Michael Jordan's greatest shots to like Donald Trump said what, and then your brain just loses complete focus on whatever the fuck you were trying to do. Yeah. I don't think that's healthy. I think that really messes with your brain, and so then you lose like this focus of like, where'd you even start with this? What do I even want to do? And then like maybe you look up the Donald Trump comment and you're like, it makes you really sad or it makes you really angry, and now you didn't even go. You know what I mean? It's like that's why I think, and I've read this, a lot of actors and actresses that have money, you know what they do? They go on fucking retreats, dude, where they don't have like, they just had Mike Posner. I don't know if you know who that is. He's a singer. And he's rich. He's popular. He's made it. He's got millions of fans. And he was like, yeah, man, like, I just lost the meaning of life. And, like you're watching, you're like, dude, you're rich. You're famous. Like, why are you being so dramatic, Like, and then he's like, I just went into a cabin in Colorado and had no power, no people. For like 2 weeks, I like made my own coffee. And like, you know what I mean? Why are people doing that? Because they need to simplify shit.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, why would people have less problems from our parents' generation, or even your grandparents, my parents? Because there was just less information and more like, oh, just go do this.
Yeah.
Just go do it. Just go do it. Just go do it. And then social media also has the approval thing. If you're someone to post shit, and then someone goes, oh, that's ugly. Like when you're 16 or 15, that hurts people. Me, I could give a fuck. Yeah. Right? Because I've just lived a long enough life to not care that much. But yeah, it's going to be a worldwide problem. I don't think they're going to erase social media. I think people need to get more fresh air, exercise, hiking, get out in nature and stuff like that. And unfortunately, everything's being pushed towards staying in more.
Yeah. Because of the COVID and shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, I don't want to get into conspiracies and all that, but it's pretty crazy. Sorry, Brand New Skinner, we went all over the place with that. Okay, so I like both Rich and Rolo. They just go over the top as selling points. Sorry, I didn't see the previous messages. I'm watching on my phone. Yeah, the same guy. Oh, sorry. Right. I would much prefer learn about female nature from my father, not strangers on the internet. Brand New Skinner says Danny has a deeper voice than Aleph. I think you're right.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is Danny's a smaller guy. He's skinnier than Aleph, huh? He's got about 20 pounds on him. So you know it's like appearance that you don't know, right?
Yeah.
You do. People have told me that before. He's got a deep voice.
Before me and Danny, like before we gonna make the same class, my friend talked to him like he really looks so little, but his voice so deep. And my friend is jealous with him because of that.
Yeah. It's funny because people's voices sound different on the microphone too.
Yep.
I much prefer to learn about females from my father, not strangers on the internet. G Money, I don't disagree, but there would be a level of bias there. Okay, the internet is great. We have a show like this to watch that's real instead of the garbage TV coming out to us live. Keep up the great work, Mac. Alan Lewis, thank you for that, bud. I appreciate it. I am real. You're still teaching? Yes, I am. How about Richard Cooper? His claim to fame is I'm the father you never had. I wouldn't like someone saying that to me because I have a father. But, you know, if that's his line and you like it and it resonates with you, good for you. I don't know who Richard Cooper is. I'll have to look him up. I definitely support Rollo Tomasi. I like his work. I like who he is. There's a few things that I don't always agree with, but I don't think you should agree with everything that anyone says. I think you should have your own opinion on a lot of things. I'm trying to learn to play the banjo, and there's too much choice. I always feel like I'm learning the wrong thing. Really frustrating. Wow, the banjo, huh? Do you know what the banjo is? I don't even think we have. It's a country thing. You know what's interesting in Thailand is people like the ukulele, which is a Polynesian. There's people that like the ukulele.
I think the thing about ukulele is that I think it's like first it's easy to learn initially.
It's a small instrument, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. To me, it's Polynesian. It's a Polynesian instrument. So it's just funny because in Thailand, I've met a few people that are, I play the ukulele. I'm like, what? In Thailand? The Polynesians will call it the uke. Richard Cooper, I met him once. Okay. Richard is people's father. Rollo saves lives. Okay. Rich Cooper is cool. I think the tagline is accurate. The red pill is just teaching men with what masculine has been for the last 10,000 years, getting men back to our roots. No problem there, G-Money. Sorry I didn't see your previous message. I'm watching on my phone. Yeah, the same guy. I also met the Sandman at a wedding. You've talked about that before. I like both Rich and Rollo. They just go over the top on selling points. Who's the guy that I don't know if he's a part of Rich and Rollo. He used to be a barber. I think he's out of Philadelphia. He's got a lot of subscribers on his channel. He's an interesting guy. Can't think of his name. Westbrook, the Westbrook and John Wall trade. I mean, was there an alternative, Skinner? I think the Rockets actually did well. I think that Russell Westbrook is a fantastic, exciting, great player who doesn't win. He's got a huge ego. And like I said, I like him. I respect his game. I think he's probably one of the most exciting players. I saw him play as a rookie, as a Sonic, I believe. And I was like, wow, that's the quickest first step in the league. I saw him in person. I was like, he's just going by everyone. But, you know, there's something to be said for people that win. And you could say, like, the Warriors are stacked. You could say LeBron's teams are stacked. Westbrook was on a pretty stacked team with Harden, Durant, Adams. Adams wasn't on the team when Harden was there, but he's been on good teams, and he gets caught in his emotions. I wouldn't want him being my highest paid player, and I don't think he's going to win a championship. I think he's someone that's going to put people in the seats. And I think that John Wall is pretty close to the skill set that Westbrook is. He just gets hurt all the time. Yeah, I was there in 2018. That's cool, Ozzy. Let's get real. How many fathers are going to sit their sons down and explain to them how women will try to screw over men? Well, my father didn't really have a birds and bees conversation with me about sex or anything. I don't ever remember that. But he talked to me. He just told me, don't, this is the extent of it. Don't ever get married unless you're going to have kids. And and he also said, don't, how do you say it? You never want to get a woman that, he didn't say it in these words, but in other words, like that likes to spend money. And my dad would go, I know guys I work with where their old ladies cleaned them out. They're 28 years old. They got nothing. They're in debt. They're screwed. And the woman's got a Rolex on. She's got rings. She's got a nice car. And they're broke. You don't want that. Those are the two sets of advice I got when I was a teenager that stuck with me, I guess. And girlfriends I've had have never been deep, excessive spend. Well, the first girlfriend actually had a lot of credit card debt, but she handled it on her own. I don't agree with 100% of everything either. There are things that Corey Wayne says that I don't agree with, even though I agree with most of his thoughts. Yeah, that's the right way to be. I'm the same way. I like Corey Wayne. I respect him. Doesn't mean everything he says that I'm like, oh my God, that's so dead on. One of the ones that always stands out to me, Corey Wayne's always like, be like James Bond. Alice's face just looked at me so confused. He tells everyone, he goes, you want to be like James Bond when you're with women. What would James Bond do?
Uh-huh.
And it's like, James Bond is, and I'm like,
A gentleman. Give me some vodka martini, please.
yeah, he always refers to that. And I guess I understand what Corey Wayne means by it. I wouldn't use that. He's a cool dude. I would say probably one of the coolest dudes is either the Dos Equis commercials guy, The Most Interesting Man. I don't think you guys have seen that commercial. You'll have to look it up on YouTube. It's fucking cool. The Most Interesting Man. And I would say that the lead character in Peaky Blinders, I would say, is even cooler than James Bond. I forgot his name.
The main character who act as
Peaky Blinders, the Netflix series.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Oh man, that guy's a fucking stoic, man. But James Bond, some people love James Bond. James Bond's 3 different people though. It's Sean Connery. There's different actors for James Bond.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is if guys all acted like James Bond, some of them would get rejected too because women would find it like, what are you trying to be, like James Bond? You'd have to really be like James Bond. You can't just act like James Bond and not, you know what I mean, look the part. You gotta be genuine. You gotta be yourself. You gotta be real. My buddy is going through a breakup, and I could see the red pill principles at play so clear. His ex started sleeping with someone immediately, a tattooed bad boy, and my friend was simping so hard. Well, send him over, G Money. Whatever happened to the one G Money that was in a relationship where the woman had kids? I have a similar story that as well. A lot of it ended in her major disaster when she hooked up with the tatted poster boy. George Bruno, that's it, Alan Lewis. He seems cool. I've seen his YouTube channel. I like his approach. Is George Bruno considered a red pill guy? Anyways, man, once you find out your ex is sleeping with someone, it's curtains, dude. It's done. Mm-hmm. It's done. It's not good. It doesn't feel good. I'm not saying it wouldn't feel good. I don't want to know. But if the minute I find that out, curtains. Yeah, everyone wants to know, like, when's it done? When is it done? Done. Done.
I recommend you to watch some of his video in Coach Mac Mikati, the last one. Yeah,
The
when you know
last
when
video?
it's done.
Oh, you're
The
talking about
last one?
the video where I talked about when I knew
Yes.
it was done. Yeah,
If you know what like to when it's done, just try to watch that,
yep.
please.
When it was done, yeah. But if I mean, someone you find out someone's with someone, whether they're a tattooed guy, whether they're a nerd, whether they're rich. I had one of my best friends, his ex fiance, his love of his life. They had a kid together. They were together 6 years. He was hurt. He was crying like a baby. This guy's like 6'1", 250. He's a big boy. He's a big guy. I mean, he was hurt for years. But he ended up with a new girl. He ended up, messing around. 2 years later, the woman gets a new boyfriend. The guy's rich, like stinking rich, pretty good looking dude, buying his son fucking expensive clothes and shit like that. It doesn't matter what the guy is. He's sleeping with your ex-girl, dude. It's like once that's done, it's kind of like, have you ever seen what some birds do to feed their babies?
Mm-hmm.
They regurgitate the food up, like they throw the food up. They like chew up the food, and then they give it back to the to the baby birds.
Mhm.
It's like if your girlfriend comes back to you, it's just like you're getting regurgitated intimacy. It's like she's been with someone else, dude. It's gross.
Recycle.
It's just like.
I don't want to make it go bad, but
No, I'm just saying that it's not. Girls aren't. No, the woman's not to blame. If the woman's broken up, she has a right to see someone else.
Mm-hmm.
If a guy's a tattoo artist or he's a flaming idiot, whatever. He's a douchebag. I've heard them all before. Oh, this guy's not right for her. This guy's an idiot. He's weak. He's that. It doesn't matter.
yeah,
She's single, dude. Right? Like it doesn't matter. I mean, that doesn't make you feel better. Like women will do it all the time too. Like, wow, you went for that one? Women look at it differently though. They're like, she's actually really beautiful. And they're like, it makes them feel kind of like, oh, we're in the same wavelength. But guys just like, they really get into that. And you got to use it in your favor. Like, she's seeing someone, it hurts. Stay away from all pictures and information about it would be number one, G-Money. Any kind of info. Any of your friends that are like telling your buddy, yeah, dude, I saw her over at Jake's pub with her new boyfriend. That guy looks like a simp. Yeah, I saw her. Don't even mention that shit to your friend. Don't even fucking bring it up, because it's like the most tender thing to a guy's heart that his ex-girlfriend that he loves so much is now, it's like why do boy dogs take a piss everywhere? You know, and the girl dogs don't. Like a boy dog goes around just peeing everywhere, right? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I
To
know.
make territory.
Yeah, to make their territory. It's like, this is my area, man.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a male thing.
cat does it too. Male cat does it too.
But they don't lift their legs,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, like, and then it's like, oh shit, that's my girl. No, it's not your girlfriend, dude. It's curtains. Done. Right? You gonna call the police? Oh, someone stole my girlfriend. Nope.
What's done is done. Don't make it repeat.
You just got to stay away from any information about it. That's the worst part. Your friend will come to you and be like, hey, dude, stop. Don't tell me nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Stay off all social media. Stay away from any information about that woman. You don't want to know who she's with. You don't want to know the guy has tattoos. I'm going to do a piece on this because I'm doing more studies on NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and there's a way when you have really bad memories to deal with them, because memories are actually flawed. We're almost on 2 hours here. I'm not going to get into it today, but I'll be on for the next one. The most interesting man in the world commercials are great. Yeah, the Dos Equis guy, he's fucking cool, man. Be like him. Better Bachelor caught him on some lies, especially about Thailand High. Said some Thai G that didn't work for me. I don't know what that's about, but that's exactly it. Modern fathers are too afraid or naive to tell their sons the reality of female nature because that would be sexist to say females can be anything but perfect. Oh, my dad was never worried about that. I think one thing, G Money, if you are, I mean, in this society now, let's be honest, if you're privileged enough to have your father around, not everyone is, because it could be jobs, it could be a lot of different things. It could be drugs, it could be a lot of different things. But if you are, a lot of what you're going to get from your dad is not because your dad had a sit-down conversation with you. It's because you watched what your dad did. Does that make sense? Like, you sponge what people do around you. And so human beings are copy machines. And so, especially when you're a kid. So your dad's nature and how he handles individual events is going to be the education, depending on how much you're around him. It would be nice if he sat down and had a few conversations. Like I said, my conversations with my dad, those were a couple of them. But witnessing my dad, I never witnessed my dad appear weak to my mother. But my dad's an ex-Marine, truck driver, so that's just not in his nature. The most interesting man in the world commercials. James Bond never takes a woman seriously because he is never afraid to lose a woman because he knows he can get another. I get it. It'll be interesting to see what future fathers tell their songs, especially the modern beta fathers that are younger now. Yeah, I just don't see it. Better Bachelor, he lies about. I don't know the Better Bachelor. You root. God willing, beta men won't get to reproduce in the brave new world. George Bruno is weak and real weak. Border gay, too much BS for men. I like to stick with men. Is he gay? Like you say, Mac, it's a horrible thing to hear that your ex is sleeping with someone else, but in a way it might help you move on. I mean, that's the only way you can, that's where your power is. You're like, look, I'm done now. Like, I'm done. Right? And that's a powerful statement. Oddly, I've not listened to George Bruno. Coach, I think George might be from Cali. No, I think he's from Philadelphia. I've only seen him once or twice. I mean, full disclosure, there's not many people I watch on YouTube. Maybe I watched some long form of Joe Rogan when he interviews someone interesting, like the Oliver Stone interview was really good. That's one that I almost watched the whole thing. I actually like things on psychology, so anything that I can watch that's like a lesson on that. She's been with someone else. Imagine the guys that want to get back when the girl has been with 5 or 10 other guys. Oddly, that happens. Not to me, dude. Men fall into the blue pill fantasy. She's the one, my soulmate. Yeah, well, soulmate till she's not your soulmate. So maybe soulmates just for a period of time. That's why we talked about having the 4-year sex contract. So when their ex starts sleeping around, it absolutely shatters the fantasy and can be extreme. That's the part that sucks. It's going to be painful. It's going to hurt. Keep yourself away from all the information about that. My ex-wife had a baby with the next sucker. I was so happy for me. No child support. My ex left me almost 2 weeks ago, and I've done no contact since last Monday. She said she lost feelings, and she did this one other time before to a couple months ago. Will no contact work again? Well, usually every relationship has playbooks, and history does repeat itself. That's not just a saying. So there's a better chance of it happening the same way again if it happened before. That being said, Drizzle, go ahead and send your story into rightmac.com, and I'll fully unpack it in a live YouTube video if you want and get to the bottom of it. But without the story, I can't really give you more information about that. But it's something that worked once, can work twice more likely. But you have to still get the reason you're breaking up again. There's something still not right there. I had an ex that had a fling with a criminal drug addict, uneducated type, got pregnant, and then wanted to get back in the mix with me, like thinking I was gonna pay for it. It was a hard no. I probably had a little snicker to yourself too, like, yeah, no. Ozzy Ford, the guy left ASAP after she got pregnant and proceeded to commit crimes and ended up back in jail for 5 years. Jeez. Hence why Rob still comes on my live streams, huh? Jeez, Rob. That sounds like a movie. That sounds like a motion picture from the 80s with fucking Al Pacino as the lead character. Will no contact get your ex back? Nope, not at all. But you will move on, and that's the only thing that matters. You know what's funny about no contact getting your ex back? Great point, G Money, is that no contact is a part of the ingredient, one of the main ingredients, but other things have to be in play. Good for you, Rob. You're learning the red pill after all. Oddly, she was very educated yet thought she could fix him. Very bad move on her. Perhaps she wrecked him. Her. Alan Lewis, the beta men who get pussy like crazy, is that their game? There will always be room for both alpha and beta players. Alan Lewis, environment counts. It's underrated. Depends on the environment that you're fishing in, what bait's going to be used, and what bait does work. You know, a guy that does really good in bars and clubs wouldn't probably do as well at a wine and cheese festival, right? You know what I mean? It's like, Rob, Gress, if you let the other sucker get it, we're not saying saving these honeys. Driscoll, okay, thanks, man. Definitely would appreciate it and totally agree. Wanted to get to the bottom. If you want to get to the bottom of it and you want to do a live coaching session, it's really bothering you, book a live coaching session. If you don't find it useful or helpful, I'll refund your money. Mac, is there any way to tell someone real reasons for breaking up versus what they tell you? I guess look at their actions. Like if they sleep around immediately, that was possibly a big reason. Mac, is there any way to tell someone's real reasons for breaking up versus what they tell you? Actions speak louder than words. Some people are deceptive. It depends on, number one, it depends on if you trust them. So sometimes when I'm talking to someone, I'm like, yeah, she told me this, she said this, and I'm like, well, do you trust her? And people are like, what the? Because some people are with people they don't trust.
Yeah.
Right? Like my girlfriends that I've had in the past, I've trusted them. One of them, I think at the end, I started to waver on fucking trust, and we broke up pretty quickly. But if they told me something, I had a level of trust and a higher level of relationship where I'd be like, I believe they're telling me the truth. So that would be the question. When they tell you, sometimes I'll read a breakup story and I'm like, well, she's saying this to you. And they're like, well, I think she really means this. And I'm like, well, does she lie usually? You really have to listen to the words. But actions speak louder than words. And are they the type of person that would lie to you, a family member, or a friend? G-Money, words of wisdom on the no contact. Beta game is providing resources which has nothing to do with the genuine sexual desire. Women will not respect a man who only has resources to offer. I agree. G-Money, there are beta guys with no resources who score with women, meaning financial resources. There's exceptions to every rule. All right, folks, it's been good. It's been grand. We got 2 hours on deck here. We got 16 on deck and 12 likes. I will be back on tomorrow. I know I say that and it's not true sometimes, but it will be true tomorrow. Fabulous Alep's actually taking the day off, I think. They just know how to reach a woman's core. Beta males do not inspire sexual arousal from women. Unless the woman's gone without it for a long, long, long time. All right. Came up on 2 hours today. Lots of stuff to cut here, huh, Aleph?
Yeah, a lot of topic now, I think.
This is a good live stream today.
Yeah.
More interesting.
Uh-huh.
Better conversation.
Better how to get an ex back.
I used to be broke and be blue pill and get honeys. Okay. Great show, Mac. Thanks, Alan. Thanks for just staying strong all the way through, bud. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate you, bud. G-Money True. If they did, they would be Sigma or Alpha. Those are fraternities, aren't they? G-Money was all the way through. Good to see you, bro. Hope you're doing well with your girlfriend. Didn't hear much about it, so no news is good news sometimes. Good to see you, Ozzy. Windy Dawn always comes on at the end. How you doing, hon? Thanks for saying thank you. You're listening from work, I assume, because you listen all the way through a lot of times. The worst of all time is beta, beta, beta. Yes, it does exist. All right, folks. It's curtains. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.